most game controllers are made using the same idea. A small box with sticks, D-pad and buttons. This is great when your device is away from the controller, like home consoles and PCs. But when the whole device is designed around video games, it's completely different, with the most popular format being a center screen and controls on the sides. So why put your phone on a controller clip to play? Today we are reviewing two controllers for your Android phones that work in a different position. For those who want to turn their phones into a portable console, we'll check the Gamesir X2 Type-C and the Razer Kish, different interpretations of the same idea. Let's see how they work on Android games, emulation and cloud. Welcome back, I'm Claudio and this is Zero to Tech. Razer was founded in 2005 in the US, and it is well known for its PCs and accessories, all geared towards gaming, and a trickle of very weird products, always with very gamer names. Gamesir was founded in Hong Kong in 2010, and has grown quite a bit. They also make PC gaming devices, but their specialty is on phone controllers and accessories. The Razer Kish box has the typical brand design, and it is much smaller than you think. We open it to see it is barely bigger than the controller. The first thing you see is a thread to first read the instructions behind. On the back, a stamp explains how to open it, important so not to break it. The tray in the box is designed to show the title of the manual behind. Nice detail, and it doesn't include much else. A card for 14 days of Game Pass Ultimate, and the typical Razer stamps. The Gamesir X2 also comes in a well-made box, with a glossy controller picture, just like the Razer. Inside, we first have a box, which contains the manual, a warranty card, and why not, its own stamps. Under the box, we can finally see the controller, this one with no warnings, and nothing else. We are looking at these two controllers because they try to fix the same problem. Minimum latency with USB-C connections, and phone in a central position. The Kish is clearly inspired on the Xbox controller. Not only this version that is licensed, but also the regular one and the iPhone version. It comes in black and has the typical ABXY button arrangement. They feel a bit spongy and require more pressure than normal, with long travel. The D-pad also feels spongy and not very stable. L1 and R1 use membrane, and R2 and L2 are analog, great for car games. The additional buttons are in good positions and they use micro switches. The analog sticks feel quite good, little resistance and quite a bit of trouble. The button is easy to activate. It has an LED to indicate that the controller is connected, and a USB-C port which you can use to charge your phone while playing. The Kish has a closed position. To open it, we turn it over and pull these two locks. This separates the two parts. Inside, we can see that it includes two rubber blocks to hold the phone in place, and on the right side, two holes to let the audio from the lower speaker through. But the upper speaker may end up clogged inside the rubber. To close it, we put the two parts together, making sure they align in the center, and we press from the sides and behind. To put the phone in, we obviously must open it. Then, we connect the USB-C and we pull the second part around the phone. We're testing with a Poco F2 Pro, which is a large phone and very wide. I tried to put it with a case, and it just won't fit. But without it, fits perfectly, without any wobble. Just check your phone size, because larger phones like the latest Red Magic 7 might not fit. With this one, which don't have any notches or holes, it really looks like a portable console. Another option, if you don't want to remove the phone case, is to remove the rubber blocks from the controller. With this, it fits, but is clearly sitting on the USB-C port, so it wobbles. And this is not going to be good for either the controller connector or the phone port, but it's stable enough to play without problems. Consider this if your phone has a difficult case to remove, or if you have a phone with a strange size. In the table, you can see the official size support. If your phone doesn't have the USB-C port on the bottom center, forget it. It won't work. The walls make it impossible for the phone to fit. Also, for the top people who have Razer phones, call support so they can send you the correct rubber blocks. The Gamesir X2 has a simpler design, in this case clearly inspired by the Nintendo Switch, even referencing the colors inside the analog sticks. A strange detail is that they copied the Joy-Con with 4 buttons instead of using a D-pad. a problem they solved in the second version. But it's weird, considering you're never going to use it as separate controllers. The front buttons have the typical Nintendo arrangement, BAYX, and feel very similar to the Joy-Con ones, with very little trouble. Strangely, the top buttons have the PlayStation names. These all use digital microswitches, no analog L2 and the R2. The function buttons are in a good place, and you have this additional button which lets you capture the screen. An idea well implemented and that doesn't require additional software. It has two LEDs, one to indicate that the controller is connected, the connection mode, and to indicate when the phone is charging. Where the controller meets the phone, we have these grills to let the audio through. This doesn't have issues with the stereo speakers, and underneath, we also have a USB-C port which you can use to charge the phone. The USB-C connector is on the left side. We can see that Gamesir designed the port to have a lot of play. This is perfect to minimize wear, an excellent idea. This makes it easier to put the phone on, even with a case. We just plug it, open the controller, which feels good, and put the phone on. Very simple, and not having walls on the sides allows you to put virtually any phone with a USB-C, even if it comes out of the top or the bottom. Once you put the phone, it is not as secure as the Kish, but enough not to wobble. Just be careful not to let it fall, because the phone will surely fly off. If we compare the two controllers closed, the Kish is clearly smaller and a bit more portable, while the X2 is bigger than any cell phone. About features, the Razer Kish is exactly what you expect. There are no surprises or hidden features. In Android, you simply connect it and it works. It only has direct input and you can charge the phone while playing. Well, there is a little hidden feature. You can download the Kish app in the Play Store, which is nothing more than a game launcher, but it lets you choose to update the firmware. For this, you simply connect the controller and you go to the update screen. If an update is available, the update button will appear. In my case, it didn't need it, but if yours do, now you disconnect the controller. Then press Y, B and start, and at the same time, connect it back to the phone. The app detects the controller and updates the firmware. The Gamesir also works as you expect. You simply plug it into the phone and everything works, even the screen capture button. But when you install the Gamesir app, it has more options. First, it offers to update the firmware immediately, and it was necessary because it has a new mode called Gesture Mode. We simply tell it to update and it does it. After the update, we can see two additional options. The Gamepad Test, which simply lets you test the control, and the option to change the layout of the front buttons between Switch mode and Xbox mode. And we can now use the new mode by pressing the G button and the Home button. This is called Gesture Mode, and it maps the sticks and buttons to swipes or presses on the screen, which you can use for games that doesn't support controllers, like Genshin Impact, and allows you to play Call of Duty Mobile without having to use a PlayStation or an Xbox controller. Setting it up is easy. You first enable the overlay permission, which allows you to put information over other apps. For this, we press Enable it, yes, that's a spelling error. Then, in permissions, we select Display pop-up windows, and give the permission. Back on the Gamesir app, you add the game you want to use it with, and when you start the game, you'll see a small controller icon. When you click it, it shows you the buttons on the screen, and it's a matter of moving them to the desired positions and set the sticks in their respective place. With this, we played Call of Duty Mobile without issues. It feels almost identical to a real controller, almost perfect. We tried it also on RetroArch as well, with the idea of playing Mario 64 for the DS, but the game didn't detect it correctly. There are apps that allow you to do this with any controller, but having this as part of the software is a nice touch from Gamesir, especially because it works well. Regarding compatibility, both controllers work perfect on Android. We tested them with Fortnite, Rush Rally 3, RetroArch, and xCloud without issues. They all work even when the X2 is not an official xCloud controller. To test them beyond normal use, we use this dongle and USB-C extension to try them on Windows. With a cable like this, they clearly become male controllers, but both worked well, just none with the games from the Epic Store. which is a common issue with controllers that doesn't use X input. But you can use WASD to fix this issue, but I don't think anyone is going to use it like this. It would have been great if they had implemented this functionality through the USB-C port. The both would have been an ideal option for those who want a single controller. We started the test with Fortnite to check the analog sticks, and the Kish's one are perfect. They have a smooth texture and are concave to give a good grip, and with a lot of trouble, even more than the Xbox controller. And the sensitivity is perfect. With the gamepad tester, we can see that they are very well calibrated, with a uniform figure on all 4 sides, and never reaching the corners. Testing with Mario 64, we can see that the trouble is very progressive, linear as it should be, with not dead zones. You can make Mario move without walking, and up to its maximum speed. On the other hand, the X2 sticks are weird. They are smaller than normal and flat at the top. They slip a bit when playing. Although trouble and sensitivity are not a problem, they are much better than those on the Switch. But here, we can see that the figure in the gamepad tester is not uniform. The left stick clearly touches the left edge, but barely touches the right one. The right stick have the opposite problem. At least, we didn't notice any issues while playing. But if we use the controller test for the N64, you can see that the left stick does not reach 80, which is the sweet spot for fully pressed. But this really did not affect while playing Mario 64, where everything worked perfectly. Now, reviewing the D-pad and the buttons on the Kish, we see that they feel somewhat spongy, but the buttons always worked well. Pressing them have a clear sensation and they perform as you would expect. The D-pad performed well in the Street Fighter sequence test, but in Contra, it has the typical problem of pressing diagonals by accident. It's not serious since the members are quite hard, but it did cause some accidental deaths. While playing Celeste in xCloud, you can see how many times I do not complete the next jump because the press direction was not the right one, so it is not ideal for high precision games. The analog buttons work well in car games. The analog triggers have very little trouble, but it's better than not having them. Moving on to the Gamesir, its buttons have a very good feel. As mentioned, they are similar to the ones on the Switch, which have a very low trouble membrane that even have a click. I did not have any issues with these buttons. The feeling when pressing them is very clear. Where it doesn't work so well is on the D-pad. We can hardly call it that. The Street Fighter test took a lot getting used to. The shuriken did not come out easily at first, and it took me a lot of practice to pull it constantly. In a way, the explicit separation of each direction is far from ideal for fighting games, but this makes it perfect for high precision games, like Contra or Celeste. I might be used to them because I played the whole Celeste game on the Switch, but I think these 4 separated buttons are ideal for high precision games. There is no possibility of accidentally mixing 2 directions. The only thing I would change is to put them a little closer, because as they are farther away than the ones on the Switch Joy-Cons. But in reality, this was no issue while playing. The only issue was constantly hitting the screenshot button accidentally, especially at moments with a lot of action. I know they copied the idea from the Switch, but the buttons should be less protruding or maybe somewhere else. Something else to mention is that both controllers will tire your hands when playing for long sessions, mainly if you are using the D-pad, which stands very low on both. The vertical difference to the Switch means that you have to put your fingers under the controller, and the position feels awkward after a while. Especially with the Gamesir, the rear moldings, instead of helping, make it more uncomfortable. The Kish is slimmer at the back, and this, plus the rounded shape of the bottom, makes it a bit more comfortable. But they are not controllers for playing for long hours. Regarding the price, the Razer Kish was officially priced at $79, quite expensive, but these days it is easier to find it half that price. Especially when the version 2 is already here, so don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss its review. The Gamesir X2 Type-C is officially priced at $70, but it depends a lot on where you get it. We also have the X3 coming on the next weeks. These are relatively high prices, but there are unique options to play with your phone in a landscape mode. In both cases, there are also versions for the iPhone, although the compatibility and functionality may be different. And with the Gamesir, there is a Bluetooth option $10 cheaper, because we live in a world where wired is more expensive than wireless. The truth is that both are great controllers, if you want to play it in a more portable console format, which I think is more trouble-friendly than the typical controller clip. The only recommendation would be that, if you're going to use it for games that requires the D-pad, if those are fighting games, go for the Kish. If you're more into action or precision games, buy the Gamesir. I hope you liked the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, retro games, modern technology, zero to tech.